Good morning. Welcome to the Digital Planning Directory Service Provider Open Engagement event. I'm Wei Yang, CEO of the Digital Task Force for Planning. Today's event is co-hosted by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government and the Digital Task Force for Planning. The Digital Task Force for Planning is an innovation-led, not-for-profit organization aiming to unlock the full potential of spatial planning in the digital era. Earlier this year, a landmark memorandum of understanding was signed between the ministry and the task force to pave the way for a new era of planning. The Digital Planning Directory is one of the first programs to be delivered through this partnership. Today marks an exciting moment. I'm really excited. After several months of user experience research, design, testing, and website development, we are now at a stage where we can show you what the directory will look like and also how to submit entries. We expect to officially open entries on the 1st of October, and we will send you an invitation on that day with links to the directory website. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to our UX design and testing. Your suggestions and feedback are greatly appreciated. You know who you are. Thank you. Today's event is a dedicated open engagement opportunity for digital planning service providers to learn more about the Digital Planning Directory and explore the opportunities it offers. It is also an excellent opportunity to understand the broader government digital planning program from senior officials. Shortly, we will have Charlotte Spencer, MHCLG Director for Leasehold, Private Renting and Digital Planning, and also Lou Wilhelm, MHCLG Innovation Lead, to introduce the government's vision and programs on digital planning. I will then provide an introduction to the directory and also make a demonstration on how to submit your entries and also with our plans for the future. Following that, we will have 15 to 20 minutes for questions. You can submit your questions at any time during the presentations. Please make sure to submit the questions in the Q&A session in the Zoom, not in the chat, so our colleagues Bridget Wilkins and Sarah Tipo from MHCLG can monitor the questions. And Bridget will pick up the questions for Lou and me to answer. The event is being recorded, and we may make it available on website for others to view in the future if necessary. Now, without further ado, may I introduce Charlotte Spencer, MHCLG Director for Leasehold, Private Renting and Digital Planning, to introduce the digital planning program at MHCLG, and also Charlotte will pass on to Lou to introduce the PropTech Innovation Fund and also the purpose of the Digital Planning Directory. Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Wei. It's great to be here today. I'm thrilled that we have the launch of the directory. I'm just the warm-up act for Lou, really, so I won't speak for too long. But I do want to just briefly say why our partnership with the task force matters a lot to the department and how this important project is part of our vision to make England's planning system fit for the 21st century. So we know that the long-term success of our digital planning programme relies on a really thriving market for digital planning and PropTech tools that communities and local planning authorities can really easily find and use. Innovative, well-designed, accessible tools, we think, are really important foundations to transform the current very paper-based planning system to help deliver the outcomes of our programme, which are to make planning data much easier to find and use and trust, to improve the plan making process and speed it up, make it much easier for all of those involved in it, to modernise development management, and to considerably improve community engagement and public consultation. Planning is a really crucial part of the government's objectives on economic growth. You'll have heard and read much about it in recent days and in previous weeks and months. And we are continuing to invest in local planning authorities to support the use of PropTech and to build local planning authorities' digital capability through our open digital planning community. And we're proud that these interventions are already helping encourage greater demand for digital planning services and helping local planning authorities across the country reap the benefits of introducing more digital planning services into their processes and systems. And we've begun to gather, more than begun, we are collecting an impressive bank of case studies and cost and time savings evidence, which really underpins this, that I'm also very excited by. And we have a role to partner, we think, with organisations like the Digital Task Force for Planning to help strengthen the supply of digital tools and help make sure that new and existing tools can more easily be adopted and found and integrated into mainstream planning practice. So since our department's Memorandum of Understanding with the Digital Task Force for Planning was signed in May, we have worked quickly on user research and interviews that have informed this directory. User interviews and research about the barriers to digital transformation and planning. And as a result, the directory is here, underpinned by that information and open for entries today. And what we found in that research is a highly fragmented digital planning marketplace, fragmented for local planning authorities, for developers, for investors, for the tech community, for everybody. And that complexity and fragmentation, we think, is a barrier to suppliers for understanding what customers need, and to users, customers, trying to understand the art of the possible or adapt their software or adopt modern software and services. So with input and sign up from service providers, many of whom, a fantastic number of whom are here today, we believe this directory can help to break down some of those technical barriers between digital planning and mainstream planning practice. And we think the directory will help, simply put, we think it will help bring together potential users and providers of digital planning services together so that we can nurture an ecosystem where we no longer have two worlds, but one where people can speak to each other and start to speak the same language. I want to say I'm really grateful to all the partners we've engaged along the way. I'm echoing your thanks here, rather, Wei. But I should name check particularly the UK PropTech Association, Geovation, the Planning Advisory Service, Tech UK, and the Planning Officers Society, whose contributions have been so helpful and forward-thinking. And now I'm going to pass over to our fantastic digital planning innovation lead in the department, Lou Wellham, to explain a bit more about the directory. And I will say goodbye because I'm being called to parallel business with the minister. So in a few moments, I will have to leave, very sadly, but I will be watching the rest of the recording later to find out how it's gone. And thank you again, Wei, for all you've done on this.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Charlotte. I'm starting to share some slides and I'm hoping they have appeared for people. That's brilliant. Thank you all for coming. I'm enjoying seeing the numbers creep up gradually. And as Charlotte nodded to, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the digital planning programme and then really diving into what we've been up to in PropTech and how that work has led us on this path to this digital planning directory and why we think it's so important. So as Charlotte touched on, we have this planning system that we're trying to bring into the 21st century. I don't think it will be a surprise to many people on this call that, we're really in a system that is semi-analog. We need people to be communicating more about what is being built in their area and having a say in that and understanding the trade-offs around what gets built and where. I'm sure you have kind of your own frustrations in this space, but trust levels we can see here only at 7% in terms of communities understanding what their local authority is doing and being bought into it. And similarly, the levels of kind of data and tech that's being used in the planning system are not where we want them to be. So this is kind of our rationale behind the program and why we've developed it. And ultimately, we have this kind of resounding vision to try and bring the planning system into the 21st century, which is incredibly important, I think, but also quite exciting. And I feel like we're doing something quite new and different in government in the way we're doing it as well. So it gets me out of bed in the morning anyway. Charlotte nodded to these 4 pillars that really underpin the digital planning programme as is. So we really focused on resolving a lot of those barriers that we talked about earlier, and using the 4 pillars to do that. So firstly, we have this brilliant kind of 30-month streamlined local plans process, and within that, thinking about how we improve things like site identification so that the right land can be more easily identified for development. Secondly, we've got a whole work stream on building modern planning software for better decision making. So that really is going to enable more fast track kind of decisions and submissions that help us get to a great place in planning. Thirdly, we have planning.data.gov, which many of you will be familiar with, providing better access to planning data. So really allowing the data to be kind of cleaned and also manipulated in really interesting, helpful ways, and creating national data sets that can be built upon by others. And finally, you'll notice here we're calling that outcome kind of improving local community engagement. And I'll talk a bit about how we've evolved from that, but it's really where we started, understanding that community involvement in planning needs to be more diverse, we need more of it, and how we can champion the use of PropTech to improve that there. So those are our 4 outcomes. Now just to talk a little bit about PropTech generally, the learnings we've built along the way and why we've come on that journey from citizen engagement to thinking about more broad kind of PropTech opportunities. So we know that PropTech is really an enabler for a lot of those outcomes that I've just shown on screen. A lot of you will be aware that we started in this world of digitizing community engagement to increase the really, really low levels of public engagement in planning to support better decision making and also create more positive conversation rather than adversarial around planning and development in the community. So our programme over the years has been funding local authorities to test and validate how digital tools could firstly increase the quantity of people being heard, save officers time and money, and also create more informed decision making and more positive conversation in planning. So I'll talk a bit about the evidence we've generated in a bit, but we know those things are possible. So since proving all of the value in that space, we've really evolved our approach to think about how PropTech solutions might be scaled in other key areas of housing, land regeneration, lots of other processes as well. And we've done this all through co-designing with the sector, which is really important to us, and trying to support the growth of a really self-sustaining industry that has the capacity and capability to shift to that more digital world we're hoping for. Just to talk about how we've evolved through those funding rounds more literally, we created the PropTech Innovation Fund in 2021, really as our vehicle to fund the industry to support widespread adoption, at first of digital citizen engagement, and now kind of more broadly. It's really become the largest UK government kind of PropTech programme, funding local authorities to work with the industry. So we're very proud of that and excited that everyone here on the call today has a real part to play in continuing that legacy as well. So our approach to that has been really to complement, I suppose, government policy by being able to test and deliver things in the wild, and be able to create product choice, I suppose, and value for money, particularly for the public sector, by scaling some of these tools. So having moved from what you can see here as round 1, really focused on digital citizen engagement, we're now in a brilliant place where we funded 100 pilots over 4 funding rounds, which is incredible, and built along the way a really brilliant community of practice that benefits from a lot of the resources that we've developed with your help. Things like toolkits, case studies that Way's nodded to, really to create that enabling environment for digital planning to scale in a way that's market-led. So you can see, interestingly, how our rounds have evolved there, starting off proving things like increase in citizen engagement by up to 300% on some of the pilots, thinking about reducing officer time, where we've had up to 95% time savings, particularly through things like AI. And then now thinking about how we actually focus on plan making and sites. So we've seen reductions in local plan making by up to 6 months. So all of these are thanks to tools that, service providers have developed and co-designed with local authorities in the market. And we now have got to a place of real critical mass, I suppose, and thinking about how we evolve our role as a programme and as a department to consider how we might partner with people like the task force here today to help accelerate adoption even further, and to consider how our role might be more agile and evolve over time. Just to share a bit about how we've really started broadening across the plan making ecosystem. You might spy a little picture of a hot air balloon here, which I'll touch on a bit, but I think we're really going to the moon in terms of our outcomes that we're trying to deliver. So I think to reflect on the demand that we've seen in the market, we have adjusted the fund to be able to tackle some of these really knotty and exciting problems in other areas of planning. And it's thanks to the pilots that we've been able to do that. So I suppose we've really established a new status quo in a lot of these different areas you can see here. And all of those complement existing human processes. So I think really important point here is, particularly as you can see with the hot air balloon, how can tech enable in all of these areas what are traditional processes and speed them up, make them more inclusive and get us to better outcomes. It's not digital 100% replacing the planning system as is. And we know that it works. So you can see the stats on here, which I just get so excited about when I see every time. Ones we talked about already around engagement and faster plan making, but also the diversity of things that's possible. So increasing more small sites coming through the plan system, and the types of and tenure of land that's coming through, I think is stuff that we were really surprised and excited to see. So why does all of this and this brilliant diagram matter to the directory? I think it's safe to say that we're kind of only touching the surface here of what digital tools and prop tech could be and do for the planning system, and I'm sure you all agree. And we're excited to really start capturing the art of the possible, not just in our evidence here, but within the directory, which is going to consolidate and broadcast all of that evidence and industry possibility to the world and create a wider audience who we hope will adopt and develop similar approaches that support their desired outcomes. So the final slide I'll talk to here is the fact that on that journey we've been on, which is clearly an exciting one, we know that barriers exist, and Wei nodded to the fact that we've done a lot of user research through all those funding rounds to understand what is needed from government and from the industry to help people, particularly local authorities, adopt some of these tools at scale. So for example, we know there's a lack of evidence to demonstrate return on investment. So why is it important for a local authority to invest in this to get long-term gain? We know that, you know, as a department, we can try and alleviate this, but the directory will have a really strong focus on case studies, and we hope this will kind of focus on returns, outcomes, both quantitative and qualitative, that users can expect from these tools. And that's a really important way to stimulate more public sector confidence in the value of their investment in service providers, and will be a support to those digital planning champions who often are out there in the wild needing a bit of extra help to make their case to their senior leaders for long-term digital investment internally. We also know that there's a real lack of interoperability in the market, which often creates friction, not just on data integration, but for those who are kind of battling with how to manage and integrate new and old systems to create a real suite of digital products that suits their context. So as Wei will touch on in a second, I'm sure, the directory is really intended to grow and evolve in its capability over time. And there's potential there that we can create a really connected ecosystem of products and users and buyers, and be clear on what opportunities exist for plug-in and integration, helping people really have that choice, which I think is a word we come back to all the time, choice. Thirdly, we know that outside of the fund, there's often a lack of market awareness in terms of what product capabilities exist. So the directory really will complement the existing community of practice that's been built up, and won't replace the power of word of mouth and collaboration, which we know are very powerful in people understanding the art of the possible. But it will make it a lot easier to understand the breadth and depth of what the market can offer, and to have choice in that as well. Finally, just to touch on procurement, which I know is front of mind for a lot of people, we know it remains a significant barrier, or at least a brake that slows and often prohibits digital adoption. So the directory is intended not just to provide, you know, that greater connection between supply and demand sides of the market, but is also intended to make it easier for internal buyers to understand the value of certain products, and for service providers to get a better read on interest and demand through the platform, which Wei will talk you through. So we hope that as we move forward with this directory, and it is supposed to evolve over time, this is very much an exciting kind of start for us. It might evolve in the procurement space as well, so including things like tender opportunities, for example. So watch this space, and we'd love to keep talking to you about what you think the directory should be doing next. Wei's going to say more about all the kind of detail of this, but I hope it shows that we've very much been kind of user-led in this approach, and you know, we've really defined what we hope is true user need, and the ambition is to really bring together a more connected ecosystem, as Charlotte nodded to, that helps us get to our goals of a 21st century planning system a lot faster. I'll stop there and stop showing my screen, but appreciate you all listening to me, and I'll hand back to Wei.
Thank you very much, Lou. Thank you. And thank you, Charlotte, for joining us. Really appreciate your introduction. I think, Lu, you have already covered lots of things I want to say, so could save me lots of time. I must apologize. I got a bad cough, so if I start to cough, please forgive me. Now, let me share my screen to give you more introduction about the digital planning directory. Yes. So the digital planning, so let's start from the digital task force planning in case you don't know us. Digital task force planning is the first of this kind innovation-led, not-for-profit organization in the world. We describe ourselves as a digital national trust because we believe, apart from the tangible assets, we also need to preserve knowledge as assets for public good. So we want to focus on creating an ecosystem for planning, research, practice, education, and training to be better integrated, because we realize, as Lu already said, there's a huge fragmentation in the industry. We think we ought to need a modernized spatial planning practice. So our mission is very much focused on three key areas. One is consolidation, one is identifying gaps, and then thirdly is developing practical solutions to systematically transform spatial planning practice. So this is our vision. The digital planning directory is one of the key initial steps we established with MHCLG to start this important journey. So what is the digital planning directory? It's a comprehensive online resource for state-of-the-art digital planning services, tailored to meet the diverse needs of stakeholders in both public and the private sector. So during our UX research process, we have consulted a very wide range of potential users of the digital planning services. The digital planning directory is seed funded by MHCLG, and it is delivered and managed by the Digital Task Force for Planning. So what is it for? As Lu already introduced, we want to consolidate fragmented sector and also create an innovation ecosystem, showcasing best practice and the art of the possible, and supporting startups as well as scaled ups in the planning sector. So it's not only about startups or not only about established practice, it's really about how we can work together as a sector to bring 21st century planning into the agenda. Since we started the project from March, we have launched the event at the directory at the UK RAVE, where we were sending the MOU with MHCLG. And also, we have done a comprehensive user research involved local planning authorities, public sector, and also private sector, including planning lawyers, planning practice, developers, and housing associations. And then after that, we have done a comprehensive user testing and then developed a website. So now we are in a stage, the directory will be ready to be open for entries from the 1st of October. And then we will have 2 months window to invite entries to join. And then we will use December and early January to validate and prepare a formal launch. So we expect to have a formal, we hope it's an in-person high-level event in mid-January to officially launch the directory. And all the companies listed on the directory will get an invitation to attend the event. And then after that, we will do an immediate review in March to see which are the immediate areas we can improve. And also from April, we will keep ongoing maintenance and start engagement events and also further develop more functions of the directory. In terms of the areas to be included in the directory, we want to cover the whole spectrum of spatial planning, from community engagement, visualization, 3D modeling, animations, GIS, mapping, environmental and sustainability services, so on and so forth. I won't read the whole list, but later on, we will send a comprehensive introduction about what we meant by each category and then what type of companies and services can be included. One of the key criteria is really about innovative digital solutions. So each service provider to be listed in the directory should demonstrate at least one of these categories. And then because we appreciate some companies, you may have several areas covered. So we would allow companies to provide up to 5 service areas to be selected. So you can be cross-referenced between different categories. But we strongly recommend you only select the most relevant categories, because otherwise, if you select irrelevant categories, would delay the validation process. And who can be listed in the directory? Because we only start from scratch. Now we want to keep it focused on into the UK, UK business providers. So there are 2 requirements. Oh, actually, one is a legal registered company or other legal entities in the UK, either in England, Northern Ireland, Wales, or Scotland. Or if you are not legally registered in the UK, you should have at least 1 office registered in the UK, or have at least 3 completed or ongoing digital planning projects in the UK. That would really help the validation process, because we want to show the relevance to the UK at the moment. In the future, we may grow the directory to other companies from overseas, but at the moment, for the first stage, we want to only focus on UK companies. And then there's a very clear guidance on how to submit your entries. I will demonstrate later from the directory itself. So we have 3 steps. One is the initial review, which is very simple, just provide the basic legal information of the company, and also a 200-word introduction about why your service is related to the service areas covered in the directory. And also, once it's validated to say you are qualified to be registered in the directory, you can set up the full account and then provide the information for the public profile and also case studies, which I will show more detail in later. And there's a cost associated with the listing. Because this is a seed-funded project by MHCLG, so the government won't cover the whole cost forever. So MHCLG is covering the setup of the directory, but because it's a government-funded project, so we offer a 1-year free entry for the first 150 qualified UK registered companies registered by the 30th of November. Full details will be explained in the frequent asked questions in the directory. And then afterwards, from January 2026, there will be a standard fee, annual fee of £850 plus VAT. But if you are not a UK registered company, because you are not paying tax in UK, so the seed funding won't cover the free entry for the first year. So the fee will be started from January 2025. So we have different fee paying method for different type of companies. And so I've already explained who is qualified for the initial 1-year free listing period. And also because we want to foster innovation. So as a commitment, we say any new startups in the UK, as long as you are registered in the UK for the first 365 years, so within the first years, we are always welcome new startups to register on the directory free of charge for the first year. In terms of current process and timelines for the first entry, so we will open our entry from 1st October. This is our current expectation, and until the end of November. And then fully registered companies will get validated through this process. And then after that, in December, we will temporarily close the entries so we can finalize the whole directory ready for the January launch. And then after the official launch from mid-January, the directory will open again for entries of other companies having submitted during the first entry period. So what information is included in your company public profile? Through our US research and the design, we spoke with many companies from large scale and small scale, and we identified the most relevant information would benefit for the companies to showcase their business, but also would benefit from the users to understand what companies can offer. So that's including the company name, logo, obviously, and also service offered, company description, location, website link, and the contact information. But also we have other optional informations based on different companies, their need, such as different companies, they may have different products, have a different name. So we have space, you can describe your different products. I know if you have already achieved industry recognition like interviews, awards, you can include in there as well. And also we welcome you to include videos to demonstrate your project or your product, and also images, and also pricing information, because we found that's quite useful for the prospective users to find out before they approach you. And also we provide space for case studies, because actually that's a good place to share the best practice. And then we hope through the users reading the case studies, they may go back to find your company and then to really approach you for the service you can provide. And of course, testimonials about the service you provided before and how your previous users benefit from your product and the services. And then please make sure you get permissions and not to use private information. And also we provide some initial introduction about what are the best practice to be included in your introduction. And also in the case studies is agile as well. So each company have a limited number of case studies to be included in your own in your account. But to be fair, we only allow you to show up to 3 case studies on your public profile to be showcased together. But you can select different case studies based on your preference. If you want to focus on a particular product, or maybe this year, one particular type of service is a hot topic, you can select the relevant case studies. And also, it's our plan from next year, we will have themed case studies. So to showcase different events. So we're hoping to organize either in person or virtual events online to showcase different case study themes. For example, maybe 1 month we focus on GIS and mapping, and we invite relevant case study providers to share more information about their service and their project. And then we want to send the invitation to the whole planning sector for planners with non-technical background to be more aware of what is the possibilities. And so why join the digital planning directory? As Lou already said, it's important opportunity for us to come together as a sector to enhance the digital planning sector's visibility and credibility. It's not only about one individual companies, it's also about the whole digital planning innovation. And also by being part of the digital planning directory, we want to support the innovation and digital advancement of the whole planning sector. And also we believe it's a good opportunity for us to break the barriers between technical strong person and non-technical person, because I know lots of mainstream planners, they have very little awareness about what is the potential of digital planning and how it can transform our practice in the future. So we strongly welcome you be part of our digital planning directory to help to shape the future of the planning practice. And once your company is fully registered, you can update your entry as often as needed. And please share your public profile and case studies on social media and link it from your website to raise awareness. And also we will share best practice and case studies from the social medias from the Digital Task Force for Planning, and also through our events. And also we will conduct regular reviews and update the directory to improve its functionality. And also the ministry and the task force will collaborate further to add more features to the directory to strengthen the digital planning ecosystem. And always welcome your suggestions and feedback. So welcoming you to join the digital planning directory and help modernize the planning practice together. So now I just use maybe 5 minutes to show you what the digital planning directory looks like, and then what is the process to submit your entries. So this is what the digital planning directory will look like once it's launched, once it's fully launched in January. So you will go to a homepage, and then there's different categories you can search for the providers. And also there will be an introduction about the collaboration between the task force and the ministry. And then these are the 10 service areas included in the directory. So you can, for the users, they can either go to the full directory to see all the providers listed in the directory, or they can select a particular type of service. For example, if you select plan making, so this is all the companies will be listed there, including the key service areas, products, technologies, and features included from your company. And also from the case studies, so this will be all the case studies submitted from different companies to be listed together. And also you can select different case studies based on a particular service area, for example, artificial intelligence and software solutions. So from there, you can visit a company's case study, and you can learn lots of details about what's being achieved in that project. And also in order to make the directory easy to understand, we have provided a comprehensive list of frequent asked questions, both for the users of the directory and also for the providers of the directory. So any questions you want to ask, you can always find from there about eligibility, about subscription and registration, and also public profile and other information. For example, if you lost your password, or if you want to change contact person's details, you can find the answers here. And also, of course, you are welcome to contact us anytime you like by submitting the form. And also we have a resource page to include news and events, and also in the future we will include further functions as well. To register in the just let me show you. Actually, this is what So this is what the directory will look like from the 1st October. So we will have a temporary holding page, which you can see the basic requirement for the initial entry. And again, you can submit your entry from there and with all the frequent asked questions. So for the providers, this is where to register. So to register for the first time, just click sign up. And then you just need to fill the basic information about your company, your name, company name, email address, a password. And then you need to read the provider's terms and conditions and the privacy policy. And if you agree with it, you can create an account. Once you create an account, you will be logged into provider dashboard. Let me just log into one. So this is one I already created. Yeah, once you get there, you will see a dashboard. So the dashboard shows you where you are in different stage. For example, after the first step, you can provide your company details. Because I already completed, so it shows the status is complete. And then you just need to put the company information, your registration number, and then your registered address. This is where we need to check your registered detail from the company's house. And also a company introduction to introduce why your company is relates to the digital planning directory and what digital planning service you are providing. So this is not going to be shown publicly. It's purely for the validation process from the directory. And also your year of registration and your company address, company website. And also we also ask turnovers and estimate turnovers from the last year and the current year. This is not mandatory, but we strongly recommend you to provide this information so we can build a whole picture about the whole sector. So after that, you can submit your information for review, and then you will get a status from there to see where you are for the review. And once your company is approved for listing, you will get to the next stage to show whether you are eligible for 1 year free listing, or you are, if you are overseas company, you need to pay the fee from 2025 January. So it will be there will be a very clear instruction from here, and then you just need to provide the information. After that, you can start to provide the public profile information. Let me send out. I'm going to send to another company to show you what the public information look like. Yeah, so this is a company already fully live. And then we have this dashboard. You can see how many profile views you have already generated, and also how many click-throughs to your website, and also how many case study views from each of the case studies. And then in the public profile page, there are essential information need to be filled, like your company name. It could be a different name compared to your registered name, because sometimes company may operate in a different name, which is acceptable. And also your logo, and also service areas, and the introduction, a short introduction, a long introduction, and also the region you operate. So these are the essential informations, mandatory information. And then once you finish this information, you just save change, and then this information is saved on the your account, but it's not submitted to the directory. And then you need to go through different windows, although they are optional, but strongly recommend to fill all this information as much as you could in one go, including your product, your industry recognitions, you have any, or videos and images. And we recommend you to use free advertising free video to make sure it's not going to be disturbed by other non-relevant advertising, and also other testimonials, and also useful link and the pricing. So every window you can save change individually. And once you are satisfied with your public profile information, you can review the page. And once you're happy, you can send for review. Once you click send for review, you will have a status bar to say the public profile is in review. And also the same process for the case study. You can create as many case studies as you like, and then you can select 3, which are the most relevant ones to show on your public profile. So this is the a very simple process. Hope it's straightforward to set up your public profile. And we need to set up, we need you to submit your public profile by the end of November to be able to be listed for January launch. And also you can change your account setting anytime you like, change your name, and also your email, and also the password. And also, although there's a subscription, but you can withdraw your subscription anytime you like. You just simply click cancel subscription, so you won't be charged for the next time when the payment is due. But the already paid subscription won't be refunded. So we hope we make the directory as user-friendly as possible. And Lu, would you like to say something before
I think thank you everyone for coming today. I think it was brilliant, particularly to have Charlotte here. I think it's clear how bought in government is to this, and to really evolving what role we play as government in the sector. So yeah, hopefully everyone is as bought in as we are to this new product. And thank you, Wei, for helping us bring it to life.
Thank you, Lu. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for your support along the journey. It's only another milestone. I think we have many milestones to achieve, but I'm very excited about this this key moment. And then we look forward to hearing from you and also seeing your entries in actually a week time. And then looking forward to working closely with you to really promote digital planning, to make it live, and then to make a 21st century spatial planning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Speak soon. Cheers.